how you doing? This is Lou Ford here, aka Filibuster 4. Back for another rant about, and this time around with the Senate trial, of Trump, basically, since the articles of impeachment have kind of come through, all that. I guess the question that I wanted to ask here, I wanted to kind of pose, is abuse of power really an impeachable offense? There's been an argument that has, kind of been made, especially by the new lawyer who has joined Trump's legal team, Dershowitz. He is also a lawyer who represented Jeffrey, Epstein, and has also been accused by some of Jeffrey Epstein's, other, victims, or whatever you want to call it, of also being sexually abused. Also, him being sexually abusive as well. Accusations which he denies, but the question still remains: is that is abuse of power something that ultimately really is an impeachable offense, something that is considered in some form or fashion, a criminal or criminal behavior, or something that a president should be, in some form or fashion put on trial for, or investigated for, whatever the case may be. Now, in terms of abuse of power, abuse of powers and all that, one prime example that's kind of been given of this in terms of Trump has been how he, basically he ordered, basically the assassination of one of Iran's top, military leaders. That, was deemed as kind of like an act of war. And it also kind of, again, put, the idea, the question of, presidential powers and, especially war powers, in perspective and back in the spotlight. That, of course, has been argued that, when you talk about party lines, where Republicans have kind of said that, Democrats didn't really care when Obama, ordered, tons of drone strikes when he was president. But, when Trump, did something, out of the idea of protecting our nation, the liberals have a problem. Regardless, this is one example of how Trump, in all of his infinite wisdom, has basically decided, that he's going to act how he sees fit. There's also kind of the other side of this whole, situation in terms of Trump's impeachment. That was mainly kind of being focused on, which is, Ukraine and President Zelensky and his, applying pressure and trying to coerce, you could say, or, the Ukrainian government, the president of Ukraine to investigate the Bidens, who Joe Biden basically is, his political rival. To see if there's any corruption, to see if he can dig up any dirt. And that included, withholding military aid that Ukraine needs in order to defend itself, from Russia. The question, of how much of an abuse of power is that? What exactly is that? It's sad because as we're starting to get ready for, as, the Senate's is kind of winding up for this trial, it seems that the majority of the Republicans want to somehow have, a fair trial, but kind of like the Inquisition or some shit like that or whatever. Don't want witnesses, don't really want evidence, they just want to vote. So they don't want to actually hear, or anything and all that, and get the information that's needed in order to do this. Even they talk about facts and truth, and they talk about, the Democrats, the liberals and Democrats making stuff up and putting together, conspiracies, whatever the case may be. They don't want that, which doesn't make any sense, because if the president has done nothing wrong, there's no reason for there to be fear of anything coming up in terms of evidence or in terms of a witness that would in any way incriminate the president. It would make sense that you would want to be vindicated, that you would want to be completely and totally vindicated. You know how powerful that could be if on the election, when it was time to run for re-election, if Trump could actually fucking say, hey, look, everything came to light. Everything was brought out. It was all there, and I was vindicated. Nothing happened. It proved that I didn't do anything wrong. I was doing everything for our country. But the Republicans and the president don't really want that, or there's mixed messages going back and forth. This is what we got. This is what we have. So until next time, just remember, when you're sipping your morning cup of coffee and waiting for that white flash followed by the mushroom clouds, remember that we did this. Until next time, move forward. Peace.